This sounds like fun. This feels good right now, and that is enough for me to follow this right now. I do not need more validation. Why would I need more validation? Hi there, I'm Anne-Katrin, and I'm occasionally awake. I'm here to help you experience your own occasional awakenings and learn to embrace the time in between. Welcome to my channel. Last week I already talked about the basics of what an impulse is and how to spot it. So in case you haven't watched that video yet, make sure to check it out. Our intuition is the part of us that listens to a creative impulse, naturally validates it, and follows it, or gives us the certainty by its validation that we are safe to follow it. I mean, our intuition is not a separate part of us. It's one of several parts. And it's the part within us which gives us a feeling, I'm safe to follow that now. I want to follow this. This sounds like fun. This feels good right now. And that is enough for me to follow this right now. I do not need more validation. Why would I need more validation? Because it doesn't get me anywhere? Because it doesn't contribute to my greatest goals? That's not important. If it's honestly a creative impulse, you got no idea where it could take you to follow that one. See, every single one of us receives creative impulses all the time. It's a part of being human. But the question is, how many of them do we actually follow in everyday life, which is packed with plans and obligations and chores and routines and habits? Sometimes there's just little extra space because that's what you need to follow creative impulses, because they come up spontaneously. And you need to be spontaneous and flexible and in tune with your heart and intuition to listen to them and to follow them. You need to be flexible about the time you have already assigned to different things. How much space are you granting your creative impulses in your life? How are you able to listen to your creative impulses? How many of your own creative impulses are you noticing on a daily basis? See, all of us receive them. But if your answer is none or just one, I don't know, that possibly means that you're a little out of tune with your own intuition, with the voice of your heart. So you might currently have trouble listening to the impulses that come up. You might have habitualized brushing them off, ignoring them, because they don't fit in what you want to achieve, in what other people expect of you, in your habits, routines, in your great plan of life. Plan happens up here. Creativity is essentially the opposite of linear development, of linear evolution. So how can we learn to listen to our creative impulses more? To engage our own intuition, the voice of our heart more? Here are a few suggestions. Tip number 1, meditate. It's a classic, I know, I'm gonna bring it up again and again. But it's really a great way to come up with impulses. Usually when we meditate, we are trying to release our thoughts, to reach that space free of thoughts. But it also happens very frequently that during meditation, thoughts just come, they invite themselves, and back they are in our head for us to release again. So I suggest don't be that harsh or fast about releasing them again. Just be very open to notice them. See them as potential, not as an irritation disturbing your perfect meditation practice. Meditation is never about perfection. The potential of meditation can only be accessed if we let go of the need for perfection. And without the need for perfection, we are free to welcome every single thought that comes up during meditation. See what they're about, and be open to notice that there might be thoughts coming up that are not part of your usual thought repertoire, that are not part of your usual thinking loops. Feel free to write them down after meditation. Feel free to write down any creative impulse on a list of the things you'd like to try, because it is a realistic fact that our everyday life does not allow us to follow every single creative impulse we might hear immediately. Following an impulse has different components to it. The first is we got to be able to hear the creative impulse come up, to notice a random, weird, unexpected, spontaneous thought that comes up as a creative impulse. And then the second component is to act on that. And it's totally fine if we cannot do that. The most important part is that we validate the creative impulse so that our system, our intuition, our heart feels our validation and gives us more creative impulses to play with. Because really that's the whole point of it. Creative impulses are divine invitations of play. So take them and see to which unexpected paths and directions they take you. The second tip to learn to listen to your creative impulses is another classic. It's Julia Cameron's morning pages. I'm a huge fan of morning pages. So morning pages, what is it? What does it mean? It simply means you take a notebook, you write 3 pages of just thought ramblings, whatever comes to mind. You do it longhand, you do it in the morning, ideally first thing after you get up, but of course variation is allowed. And that really helps you to connect with that inner voice, to connect with that intuition. This is especially helpful if you have a hard time with the first component, which is hearing the creative impulses pop up in the first place. So what this does is it transfers your entire thinking for a few minutes, for 3 pages longhand writing on the page, which means that it captures your thinking. And within that thinking, while writing, every now and then, golden creative impulses are gonna come up. So in case you struggle with hearing creative impulses, listening to them during the everyday, listening to them between your thoughts, which are highly automated, instead try to read them between the lines of your morning pages. A third tip, very simple yet powerful again, is to take a walk in nature. See, spending time in nature always helps us to hear creative impulses because it takes us back to our own nature and our intuition, the voice of our heart, our conscious self, higher self, inner self, whatever you want to call it, that's all part of our nature. So getting into nature takes us back to our nature and thereby improves the quality, so to speak, of our intuition in that moment. And if our intuition is activated in that space, and if we raise our frequency by being in nature, what this does is it shines a light on the creative impulses that come in and makes it a lot easier for us to notice them. So this video mainly dealt with the first component of working with creative impulses, which is listening to the creative impulses in the first place to then, as the second component, act on them. Now, acting on them is a whole other story. But same thing again, once we are in tune with our intuition, once we are in tune with our heart, the second component becomes so easy. It's like I made this division into 2 components, but essentially they're so very connected. They're so closely connected. And the more creative impulses we notice and validate, the more likely it is that we are automatically going to follow them. And the more we follow our creative impulses, in turn, the more creative impulses are going to come up for us to explore, for us to receive as a gift. See, our decisions will get us to live the life we want for ourselves. Our creative impulses are going to make us live the life that is beyond our wildest dreams. Got any occasional awakenings yet? Because now I'd like to hear about your experience. So please let me know. Are you listening to your creative impulses? Which specific creative impulses have you had lately? Did you follow them? And where did they take you? If you resonated with this, please like and subscribe. And if you want more insights on duality, non-duality, and the concepts in between, please visit me at occasionallyawake.com to enhance your own awakenings. Bye.